Athaliah, Queen of Judah. Athaliah. She was the daughter of Ahab, king of Israel. She got married to Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat. She proved herself to be a wicked queen just like her mother, Queen Jezebel, and her father, King Ahab, and her brothers, King Ahaziah and King Joram. Athaliah, whose name means afflicted by God, reigned as Queen of Judah between the years 841 and 835 BC. She sat on King David's throne. Her name means afflicted by God. Athaliah's reign as queen was sandwiched between several centuries during which Judah and Israel were ruled by wicked kings and queens. Athaliah was a fervent follower of Baal, and as a result, she was every bit as wicked as the monarchs who came before and after her. Athaliah's husband, Jehoram, was king of Judah until he passed in 841 BC. Unlike his father, Jehoram was a wicked king. Athaliah's son, Ahaziah, ascended to the throne at the age of 22 and established himself just as evil as his father. Athaliah guided her son in his devilish schemes. 2 Chronicles 22:3, Amplified Bible. He also walked in the ways of the house of Ahab, for his mother was his adviser, and she encouraged him to act wickedly. Ahaziah served as king of Judah for less than 1 year, for he was assassinated along with Israel's ailing king Joram. Their assassin was Jehu, who had originally been a commander in King Ahab's army. 2 Kings 9:25. Then Jehu said to Bidkar his officer, "Pick him up and throw him on the property of the field of Naboth the Jezreelite. For I remember when you and I were riding together after his father Ahab, that the Lord uttered this prophecy against him." Jehu was anointed as the new king of Israel by the prophet Elisha, who also commissioned him as an instrument of the Lord to carry out the punishment that God had pronounced against King Ahab and his entire family because of their idolatry. As part of Jehu's goal to put an end to the dynasty established by Ahab, Jezebel and her sons were put to death. It just so happened that her son Ahaziah was visiting Joram when Jehu arrived to carry out the plot to kill Joram. As a result, Ahaziah also lost his life. 2 Chronicles 22:10-12. When Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, she proceeded to destroy the whole royal family of the house of Judah. But Jehosheba, the daughter of King Jehoram, took Joash, son of Ahaziah, and stole him away from among the royal princes who were about to be murdered, and put him and his nurse in a bedroom. Because Jehosheba, the daughter of King Jehoram, and his wife of the priest Jehoiada, was Ahaziah's sister, she hid the child from Athaliah so she could not kill him. He remained hidden with them at the temple of God for 6 years while Athaliah ruled the land. Athaliah, who had already lost her husband and then her son, took the kingdom for herself by executing her own grandchildren after she had already lost her husband and son. Satan was the hidden force behind this savage massacre of the royal family, and he was seeking to cut off the messianic line, as he had attempted to do in the past and would strive to do in the future. Jehovah moved Jehoshabeath to hide her nephew Joash because the promise in Genesis 3:15 guaranteed that the Lord would preserve the line through which the Lord Jesus would eventually come. Jehoshabeath's husband, Jehoiada, who was a priest, took care of him for the next 6 years while he was hidden away in the temple. 2 Kings 11:2. But Jehosheba, the daughter of King Joram of Judah and half-sister of Ahaziah, took Joash, the son of Ahaziah, and abducted him from among the king's sons, who were to be killed, and hid him and his nurse in the bedroom. So they hid from Athaliah, and he was not put to death. 2 Chronicles 24:7. For the sons of Athaliah, that wicked woman, had broken into the house of God, and also had used all the holy and dedicated things of the house of the Lord for the Baals. Unbeknownst to Athaliah, a single grandchild escaped the massacre. Just like her mother, she worshipped the god known as Baal. During the reign of Ahab and Jezebel, at the peak of Baal worship in Israel, God directly confronted paganism through his prophet Elijah. First, God showed that he, not Baal, controlled the rain by sending a drought lasting 3½ years. Baal was the name of the god who was worshipped throughout Canaan and Phoenicia in old times. During the Judges period, the practice of Baal worship entered Jewish religious life. After Athaliah had reigned for 6 years, the high priest Jehoiada placed guards around the temple and publicly crowned the young Joash as the fitting king. As the new king was anointed, the people clapped their hands and shouted, "Long live the king!" 2 Kings 11:12. Then Jehoiada brought out the king's son and put the crown on him, and gave him the testimony, a copy of the Mosaic law. And they have made him king and anointed him. And they clapped their hands and said, "Long live the king!" 2 Chronicles 23:12-13. When Athaliah heard the noise of the people running and cheering the king, she went to them at the temple of the Lord. She looked, and there was the king, standing by his pillar at the entrance. The officers and the trumpeters were beside the king, and all the people of the land were rejoicing and blowing trumpets, and musicians with their instruments were leading the praises. Then Athaliah tore her robes and shouted, "Treason! Treason!" Queen Athaliah came to the people in the temple to investigate the cheering and shouting, only to find a child rival she thought long dead now wearing a royal crown. But what must have alarmed her even more was the realization that the people were solidly behind him. No one listened to her charge of treason. After all, she was the usurper, not Joash. Jehoiada ordered her to be slain, but not just inside the temple. She was taken to the horse gate, where she was slain for her atrocities in Judah. Some people rise to positions of authority because of their passion for their cause and their feeling of duty. Others want leadership positions for no other reason than to achieve power over others and to enjoy the arrogant feeling that comes with being in a position of superiority. In most situations, figuring out what kind of leader you have won't take you very long at all. In the case of Athaliah, coming to a decision did not take any time at all. As soon as she learned that Jehu had taken the life of her son, King Ahaziah, she arose and destroyed all the royal heirs of the house of Judah, which included all of her grandchildren. She failed to slay Joash, the only child left alive, because a devout young woman named Jehoshebeath concealed him in the temple of God for a period of 6 years, allowing him to escape her homicidal rampage. The act that God had promised his people, that the Messiah would come via the royal line of David, made absolutely no difference to Athaliah in the least. This is a picture of a leader so thirsty for power that she would do anything to attain and hold her illegitimate title, including murdering her own kin. Athaliah ruled over Judah for 7 years. In the end, the people violently removed her from power. Queen Athaliah is an extreme example of a leader motivated not by love, but by power, prestige, and position. It never takes long to spot the difference.